So what does Maundy mean? It's a weird word, one we're not familiar with. What's it mean? Well, it comes from the Latin word mandatum. And mandatum is the first word used in the Latin translation of John chapter 13, verse 34, where Jesus says, after he washes the disciples' feet, Jesus says, "A new command I give you." And mandatum is the word for command. "A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you." So you must love one another. So what happened on Maundy Thursday? Well, in John chapter 13, we get a better picture. It was Jesus' Last Supper. It was the Last Supper meal with his disciples before he goes to the Garden of Gethsemane and before the crucifixion. So this is his last meal before the crucifixion and resurrection with the disciples. A very important meal. And after this meal, he washes the disciples' feet, and then he gives them the command in John chapter 13:34 that a new command I give you, you must love one another just as he loved us. And this begins the great triduum. And this is essentially Maundy Thursday begins the Easter celebration, where you have Good Friday and then you have the resurrection. And then it's also a day of consecration and preparation for Good Friday. A lot of Christians nowadays see it as a day of preparation and as in view of what's to come on Good Friday and the resurrection. How was Maundy Thursday celebrated in the early church? Well, first they had the Lord's Supper. And since it was commemorating the Last Supper, they had the Lord's Supper. And it was a special Lord's Supper meal because they gave special thanks and celebration for the institution of the ordinance. The very fact that they could remember the body and blood of Jesus Christ sacrificed for them, they had a special, they think this was the day that they thanked them for the ordinance as a whole instead of just another Lord's Supper. They also, in the early church, washed each other's feet. A bishop or uh, a church leader would wash the congregation's feet as a way of remembering serving one another. And in these services, they would, at the end of them, they would strip the church of all decor. They would remove everything from the church to make it as bare as possible. And if there was any cross in the front or anywhere else, they would put a veil over the cross as a way of symbolically being sad and mourning and grieving the cross that's to come the next day. And also as a way of kind of preparing and carrying on this mourning and sad theme of remorse for sin and the sin that Jesus would die for. They would keep the lights as low as possible. There would only be enough light for people to see, to walk around, so they wouldn't hurt themselves. So they would keep the lights as low as possible. And after veiling the cross, they would leave oftentimes in silence.